Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics. And I am the generational talent in Garden State Media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, ladies and gentlemen, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks, as the establishment media, both nationally and here in New Jersey, continue to lie to you, I gotta tell you, when the times are darkest, I fight the hardest. That's right, it's me, Fernando Uribe. Hope you're having a wonderful end of April, again, as we continue on the spring season here. May is right around the corner. Folks, election season is well underway. And of course, one of the things that I voted for last November, quite frankly, is getting accomplished. So there's a lot to discuss. So let's get started. Here's what I'm thinking about right now. Ladies and gentlemen, the Department of Homeland Security via ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, produced a report last week as it pertains to, obviously, the first 100 days of the second Trump administration. Without a doubt, one of the things I voted for was a stronger and more secure border, as well as 74 million other Americans that voted this past November. Now, of course, on this program, and of course, my other program on Monday nights, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV, which, by the way, you can check out, obviously, online at all the social media handles that you know are available. But I've been talking about the importance of a secure border. But don't tell that to some of the more vile, disgusting left-wing nonprofits in New Jersey. The ones I like to cook on a regular basis. Of course, all these vile humans representing the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, the Latino Action Network, Make the Road New Jersey, Make the Road New York, the New Jersey Citizen Action Project, of course, the Latina Civic PAC, as well as Progressive Democrats of Hudson County and Progressive Democrats of New Jersey, in addition to a plethora of other organizations, quite frankly, folks, that should make you nauseous. But while they're all bitching and moaning, again, the rest of us are getting exactly what we voted for, and that's securing the border and getting rid of criminals and illegals living in our communities. So let me just give you a perspective here of some numbers that I think are very, very important. 3 of the 4 arrests that have been accomplished in the first 100 days of the second Trump administration were indeed criminal illegals. Now, during the first 100 days of President Donald J. Trump's second term, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has arrested 66,463 illegals and has removed 65,682 of them, including criminals who threaten public safety and indeed national security. 3 and 4 arrests were criminal illegal aliens, putting the worst first. Quote, the brave men and women of ICE protect our families, friends, and neighbors by removing public safety and national security threats from our communities, according to ICE Acting Director Todd Lyons. During President Trump's first 100 days, ICE alone has arrested over 65,000 illegals, including 2,288 gang members from Trinidad Aguas in Venezuela and MS-13 in Mexico, 18th Street, and other gangs. Additionally, 1,329 were accused of or convicted of sexual offenses, and 498 were accused or convicted of murder. And the criminal records of those arrested included convictions of charges for 9,639 assaults, 6,398 DWIs or DUIs, and 1,479 weapons offenses. We've removed over 65,000 illegals to countries across the world. We're just 100 days into this administration, and thanks to President Trump and Secretary Noem, ICE is using every tool at its disposal to enforce our country's immigration laws and protect our communities. ICE has significantly ramped up arrests and removals with help from state and local law enforcement agencies through the 287G program. Now, the agency's Enforcement and Removal Operations Directorate has 579 pending and signed agreements with police departments and sheriff's offices across the United States, demonstrating the effectiveness of a whole-of-government approach to immigration enforcement. Since 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on January the 20th, there have been 444 new 287G agreements nationwide. Operationally, ICE Homeland Security Investigations, which also focuses on transnational crime and threats, has been zeroing in on worksite enforcement operations to protect American businesses. Since January 20th of this year, HSI has arrested more than 1,000 illegal workers and has proposed over $1 million in fines against businesses that exploit and hire illegal workers. Well, folks, again, this is everything that I voted for last November. And while many on the left and progressives and all the woke crusaders and all the social justice clowns and all the feminists and, smelly cat ladies were having their meltdowns and the little demonstrations, the adults got to work. And what we've been seeing is safer communities, less gang members, less criminal illegals. And folks, let's be very fair about what criminals and illegals have done to our country. And just to give you a perspective here, folks, and here's a number that should really, really upset you because I know it does for me, right? But here's a number that really, I think, puts into, hopefully, perspective for everybody about what's going on. Now, illegals have sent approximately $56 billion in cash to their home countries in 2024 alone. Of course, that's after their kids enjoyed free education at your expense, free lunches at your expense, and free medical care, of course, paid by you, the American taxpayer. But don't say that once again to all of the vile organizations I just listed. So whether it's Amy Torres, the executive director and useless do-nothing cat lady from the New Jersey Alliance of Immigrant Justice, or Sarah Kalaney from Make the Road New Jersey, or of course Patricia Campos Medina with the Latina Civic PAC, or of course Antoinette Miles with the New Jersey Working Families Party. Folks, take your pick. There's no shortage of vile and disgusting left-wing organizations, which, by the way, get subsidized with tax dollars, ladies and gentlemen, because they apply for grants. And of course, in the last 8 years of the Phil Murphy administration in New Jersey, Trenton has been more than happy to take taxpayer dollars and give them to these awful organizations. Of course, not to mention, and let's not forget, that every year as the state legislature, both the state assembly and the state senate, are vying over numbers when it comes to the state budget, always remember, our taxpayer dollars go into a legal fund to help illegals fight deportations. Because Phil Murphy, in January of 2018, decided to declare New Jersey a sanctuary state via executive order. Now, we've seen what U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi has declared, and we also know what the 47th president has declared. An all-out war on sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. And I got to tell you, folks, the border czar, Tom Homan, is doing exactly what we hoped he would. And that's enforce our sovereignty and get rid of criminal illegals. Because, folks, let's be honest about what these illegals have done to our way of life here. They've ruined our way of life. They've ruined our communities. Many of these illegals and these women come over pregnant, have their kids here, and of course, guess who's stuck and on the hook to take care of these kids via Medicaid or anything else? Yes, folks, it's the American taxpayer. And once they have these kids here, they'll continue to get impregnated here by their illegal boyfriends and or husbands. And of course, what ends up happening, they start in your local school district. So what used to be a reasonable classroom size, like 20, maybe 25 children, has now grown into somewhere into 40, 45, even 50 kids in many school districts. How do I know this? Because I talk to school teachers all across New Jersey. In all 21 counties, the problem is pervasive. But of course, hey, we have to educate them because they're here. Not to mention, of course, what illegals have done to our real estate and our quality of life in our communities. Destroying real estate in townships that we live in. Packing 3, 4, 5, even more than 10 people at a time in a one-bedroom apartment. Of course, what does that do to the quality of life in a building or in a home or in a community? Well, folks, you have eyes. I don't have to tell you. Or, of course, as we've seen, criminals and illegals being subsidized with our tax dollars in lavish hotels, as people of color in our communities, both black and brown, continue to struggle to pay their groceries or even afford rent. But if you come here illegally, well, you'll be okay. And you were okay in the last 4 years under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Well, hopefully those days are over. As President Trump, Attorney General Bondi, and Border Czar Homan are going to get rid of these people once and for all. But once again, don't say that to all these organizations. As I said before, whether it's Amy Torres, Sarah Clanini, whether it's local activist clowns like Hector Oseguera, you know, Chiquitin, all 5'2" of them. Or, of course, other organizations like the Progressive Democrats of Hudson County, Progressive Democrats of New Jersey, right? The Latino Action Network, the New Jersey Working Families Party. Folks, take your pick. There's no shortage of organizations that will tell you this is inhumane, this is fascism, this is contrary to democracy. No, it's not. What it is simply having the federal government enforce our sovereignty and enforce our borders. By the way, again, for everybody that I just listed, with all these trash organizations, somewhere along the line, maybe you didn't take U.S. history or took a civics course. But if you did, and if you were awake for it, you would know that one of the responsibilities of the federal government, as stipulated in our Constitution, is to enforce our borders and to also preserve our sovereignty. Seems to be okay, right? When it comes to Latin America and in Europe. But why isn't it okay here in the United States? Like, can someone answer that for me? Because I can tell you, folks, and again, I'll give you an example that's quite relatable because I've traveled there quite frequently. For many of you that know, my dad is Colombian and my mom is Cuban. Obviously, you can tell where my mouth comes from. But nevertheless, though, when I visit Colombia every year to visit family, if I decide to have this epiphany of, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. Yes, I'm an American citizen visiting Colombia. But if I decide to stay there, right, and I decide to, I don't know, take up residency, I'm not a Colombian citizen. I'm just not. I'm a tourist. I'm there visiting. I don't need a visa to visit Colombia. As long as I have a valid U.S. passport, I'm good to go. What do you think would happen to me if I decided to stay in Colombia and say, you know what? Among the multiple graduate degrees I already have, maybe I should apply to, I don't know, La Universidad de Santa Fe in Bogotá, Colombia's capital city. Or one of the other various, very reputable universities in Colombia. Well, I wouldn't be paying tuition like a Colombian citizen. I'd be paying tuition as an American citizen, as a foreign student. Could I apply for a driver's license? No, I'm not a Colombian citizen. If I was having trouble locating housing, well, I'm not a Colombian citizen. I don't have access to that. See what I'm getting at, folks? But don't say that again to all these organizations that will tell you, oh, there's, there are no borders and no human is illegal. No, mother effers. There has to be sovereignty. There has to be a preservation of borders. I can't go to Colombia and demand anything any more than a lot of these illegals think they have a right to demand it here. So again, that's where the disconnect really upsets me when it comes to all these vile organizations and all these disgusting human beings that head up these organizations. And never mind a lot of these activists masquerading as journalists on television, right? Whether it's establishment media nationally or here in New Jersey. Take your pick, folks. Whether it's garbage journalists like David Cruz, Max Pizarro, Alan Steinberg, Jay Lasseter, Bob Hannelly, John Van Vliet, Charles Stile, Matt Freeman, they'll never have anything to say about sovereignty. They'll have a party in their pants and they'll blow a load on themselves all about, oh my God, Donald Trump and the end of democracy and fascism is upon us. None of that's happening, folks. Now, for some of them that actually leave their homes, which I don't think is many of them, but I do. I leave my house every day and I see what illegal immigration has done to communities all across New Jersey. And that's why I fight so hard against it. That's why I fight so hard to applaud the efforts of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, which is why I applaud what Attorney General Pam Bondi is doing, which is why I applaud what Border Czar Tom Homan is doing. And most importantly, last but not least, it's why I applaud the 47th president for what he's doing. Okay? Promises made and promises kept. And I get it. The economy maybe isn't where we want it to be. That'll get there, folks. But what are we seeing? Not cultural issues per se. And that's important to me because I'm tired of all the woke bullshit. I'm tired of coddling mentally ill people, trans people, grown men play make-believe and dress up. Or grown women chopping off their hair and their breasts, thinking they're tomboys now. No, you're not men anymore. Then those guys are women. I'm tired of coddling this. You want to acquiesce and coddle mental illness? Go have at it, folks. I don't care for trans people. I'll say that openly. That doesn't make me a bigot. It doesn't make me a transphobe. What it makes me is a grown adult who doesn't want to acquiesce to someone's delusions. And that's what we learned last November. To stop coddling all the woke bullshit. To stop coddling illegals. To stop coddling illegality and criminality. Because that's what the American left loves. And the American left loves to plant a flag and revere the most vile people. You're seeing it now. I won't do that, folks. Because one thing on this show that I won't do is lie to you. And tell you something that isn't true. You can leave that for the establishment media here in New Jersey and take your pick. There's no shortage of them. Insider NJ, NJ Spotlight News, NJ.com, NorthJersey.com, the Bergen Record, the Asbury Park Press. Okay? There's still very reputable journalism in New Jersey that reports the news, specifically here in Hudson County, such as the Hudson County View and its editor, John R. Hines. HudPost with its editor, James Los Santos. The Jersey City Times with its editor-in-chief, Aaron Morrill. Tap into Jersey City with its editor-in-chief, Steve Lennox. Hudson County TV with its editor-in-chief, Julio Reynoso. Okay? Those are the people actually reporting the news, along with myself. Folks, there's a big difference between establishment media and independent media. Know the difference. We're the ones getting real traffic and real conversation going. They're the ones just peddling a certain narrative. As we all learned last November, that narrative is dying. People don't believe establishment media. And why should you? They've been bullshitting you for so many years. But here on this show, and all the aforementioned I just discussed, folks, we'll never bullshit you. Because we're here to serve you. Because we're not just journalists. We're conveyors of information. And somewhere along the line, that got lost in the medium of journalism and communications and media. Not on this program, folks. And guess what? It never will. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. Now, some local stories for your consideration. And folks, it's very simple. Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala is an atrocious choice for the 32nd Legislative District in the upcoming Democrat primary on June the 10th. Now, folks, there's no shortage of information out there. Now, again, this is not slander. This is not defamation. This is all fact. Okay? It's been reported. It's been documented. Okay? We can't trust Ravi Bala to keep property taxes manageable in Hoboken, where during his administration, property taxes in Hoboken have gone up 16%. Because again, in Hoboken, in the Mile Square City, it's more pronouns than property taxes or public safety, right? It's more about acquiescing to mentally ill people, like, trans people during Pride Month, than worrying about maybe, hiring more police officers. Instead of wasting taxpayer dollars on repainting the crosswalks during Pride Month, maybe get some more metal detectors in our schools. Maybe get, again, the ability to hire more police officers. Maybe the ability to enforce what's going on Washington Street. That's the legacy of Ravi Bala, folks. And it's no coincidence, obviously, that the heir apparent supposedly in Hoboken, Councilwoman Emily Jabbour, the prom queen, is running as distant away from Ravi's record as possible, which is interesting because she's part of the disaster that is Hoboken. She's part of the mess that we see here. Okay? The infestation of rats in Hoboken. Never mind the rodents and the public health hazard that they present. No, I'm talking about the rats that keep getting hired to work at City Hall on Washington Street. All under the supervision of Ravi Bala. Right? In addition to that, spending also went up in his office by 50%. Folks, if we can't trust Ravi Bala to spend your taxpayer dollars wisely in Hoboken, do we really think we can trust Ravi Bala to trust him with your tax dollars in the state assembly? Spoiler alert, you can't. And I get that the 32nd Legislative District, which is comprised of the city of Hoboken and the Jersey City Heights and downtown Jersey City, is arguably the most progressive district in all of New Jersey. In all 40 legislative districts, I would argue LD 32 is the most woke. It's the most far left. It is the most progressive. You saw that last year when Ravi Bala unsuccessfully ran in the Democrat primary against the incumbent representative, Rob Menendez, in the 8th Congressional District. And sure, he fared well in downtown Jersey City, in the Jersey City Heights, in Hoboken, in parts of Jersey City where, again, people can answer a simple question like, what's a woman? Or they're more concerned with woke bullshit like pronouns and their email signatures than worrying about, public safety. Or making sure that, we protect girls from boys playing in sports. That's why Ravi Bala did so well. And that's what Ravi Bala is banking on in the upcoming June 10th primary. To say nothing of the fact of his running mate, Katie Brennan, who is just as useless as Ravi Bala is. Now, I'm not going to pile on Katie Brennan like others have in local media. But what I will say is 2 words. Bruce Alston. If you don't know what I mean, Google it, and you'll understand what I'm saying. Okay? kudos to Bruce Alston for saying the quiet part out loud that a lot of us in Hudson County are terrified to say openly, not Bruce Alston. And he made some points about Katie Brennan that, quite frankly, are worth examining. But let me not focus on Katie. Let's get back to Ravi Bala and why he's such an atrocious candidate for the state assembly. Never mind the fact, folks, that as an attorney, he has been sanctioned by the New Jersey State Supreme Court. I wouldn't trust Ravi Bala to represent me in a traffic stop in municipal court. That's how useless a lawyer Ravi Bala has become. So it also kind of reminds you, folks, how easy it is to get a law degree in New Jersey when clowns like Ravi Bala and Joe Quintero and others are able to acquire one. But never mind concerns about his ethics, whether it's as an attorney or as the mayor, but how about as a, progressive? Yeah, Ravi Bala is so progressive that when Annette Chaparro, the former assemblywoman that represented Hoboken, who again, I disagree with Annette on various bills that she sponsored or voted on, like giving driver's licenses to illegals and other things, but I always respected Annette Chaparro because she rolled up her sleeves and got to work. But Ravi Bala is so progressive. Ravi Bala is so about, hey, I'm all about protecting women, and I'm so pro-woman. Yes, Ravi Bala is so progressive, he decided to remove Annette Chaparro and replace her with a white man who happened to be his chief of staff. Folks, if there was ever a more useless 2-year term for any assemblyman that I can remember in my adult life, it's been John Allen. But again, don't tell Ravi that, because Ravi's so progressive. Again, let's remove a Latina from the legislature to put another white man in the legislature. Yeah, that's really progressive, Ravi, right? Since you're all about, helping brown and black people. Yeah, Ravi. Yeah, you go, Ravi. Yeah, folks, like a lot of those on the American left and all the woke fools and all the social justice clowns, they talk out of both sides of their mouth. And we learned that with Ravi Bala during his administration. And I get it that maybe voting for Ravi Bala is, sort of sticking a middle finger up to the establishment. And for many registered Democrats in the 32nd Legislative District, maybe they're tired of establishment Democrats. All right? I mean, you're entitled to like what you like. But folks, Ravi Bala is not a good pick. Because if you're all concerned about ethics and impropriety and the perception of misconduct, folks, really? And you want to vote for Ravi Bala? Do you realize how asinine that sounds to a lot of you in LD 32? And folks, you got choices in the 32nd Legislative District coming up on June 10th, if you are a registered Democrat. You have Crystal Fonseca, a hardworking Jersey City resident and employee who's been dedicated to her community. Her, along with her father, have made it a point to help the underrepresented, to help the underprivileged. Okay? Now, she has a great life story, and she's overcome a lot. So if you're looking for someone with, again, that pesky 4-syllable word that Ravi Bala struggles with, integrity, yeah. You think about integrity, you think about Crystal Fonseca. You can think about one of the incumbents, Jessica Ramirez. And there are some things that I disagree with the Assemblywoman on. I don't like some of her woke stances or some of this, grandstanding when it comes to reproductive issues in New Jersey, which we all know has been codified into state law. So sometimes it's just being weaponized for the sake of being weaponized. But you have choices on June the 10th. Folks, Ravi Bala isn't one of them. I mean, what additional evidence do you need from me to convince you that Ravi Bala has been a joke of a mayor? Folks, he'd be a joke as an assemblyman. So June 10th, let's get rid of Ravi Bala out of this political climate once and for all. Let's send him packing. Let's him go back to practicing law if he even knows how to do that ethically or even, logically. Folks, you have choices on June 10th. Once again, Ravi Bala, the mayor of Hoboken, clearly isn't one of them. I'm not sure what it will take to convince you, but if I haven't done so, let me know, because I got more coming. Let's head south into Jersey City, and a special thank you to James De Los Santos, the editor of the Hut Post, for his reporting on this story. Now, New Jersey University will depart the New Jersey Athletic Conference, the NJAC, after nearly 7 decades and joining newly formed Division III Athletic Conference alongside the City University of New York and their athletic conference, the CUNY-AC institutions. The transition will begin in fall of 2026, with NJCU competing as an affiliate member in most sports. Now, full membership is expected by July 1st, 2027, when the rebranded conference officially launches. According to interim president Andres Acebo, he said, quote, joining this newly formed conference represents more than just athletic realignment. It's a bold strategic decision. This partnership strengthens our athletic future and positions our university's mission for its next chapter. Now, the move marks the end of NJCU's 67-year membership in the NJC, which began in 1957. NJCU will become the first full-time member of the CUNYAC affiliated league located outside of New York City's 5 boroughs. Now, CUNYAC Commissioner Dr. Kurt Patberg said, quote, this is the first step of several in adding Division III institutions that want to compete in a conference centered around New York City. Now, Dr. Fernando Delgado, president of Lehman College and the chair of CUNYAC presidents, added, we welcome NJCU and look forward to their student athletes participating in our student-centered competitions. NJCU's men's volleyball will transition first, moving from the Skyline Conference to the CUNYAC in the spring of 2026. Now, Robert Cole, NJCU's director of athletics, emphasized the benefit of the move, quote, we are positioning our student athletes to compete on one of the biggest stages in the world, and that is the New York City media market. This alignment opens doors to shared resources, professional development, and networking opportunities. Folks, what else can I say about the advancements and the progress being made by NJCU? And of course, courtesy of its leadership, the outstanding leadership of its interim president, Andres Acebo. Way to go, NJCU, and way to go, Andres Acebo, for continuing to move New Jersey University into the future, not just into athletics, but academics as well. And that's our show for this week. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, to check out all the great content brought to you by the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, the Hudson Media Group, please like them on Facebook. Don't forget to follow them on X and Instagram, and also subscribe to their channel on YouTube. It takes 5 seconds, folks. I've actually counted. Like, comment, and share. You go a long way in helping grow independent media right here in Hudson County, of course, with its leader, the Hudson Media Group. Of course, you can check out all the great content that we bring you every single week, which includes Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe, Hudson County View Live every Wednesday, hosted by John Hines, Stick at Night, hosted by Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano, as well as all the hardworking young men and women from North Bergen High School. Folks, independent media is where it's at, because as we all know, the establishment media, both nationally and especially here in New Jersey, will continue lying to you. That's something we'll never do here at the Hudson Media Group. We'll continue fighting for you and talk about the issues that matter to everyday people. Not all the woke bullshit, folks. We don't care about pronouns in your signature, in your emails. We don't care about the fact that you don't understand biology. Folks, there's something about biological reality and social constructs. I'm not about that nonsense. I'm about keeping it real and talking about things that matter to everyday New Jerseyans and everyday Hudson County residents. The issues that matter to us and we talk about at our kitchen tables, in our living rooms. These are the conversations we'll keep having here with the Hudson Media Group. And it starts always with talking politics. So, folks, if you want excellence in journalism, and again, integrity, and most importantly, just clarity, well, folks, the line starts right here with Talking Politics every week here with the Hudson Media Group. And always remember, ladies and gentlemen, if it's unbiased, unfiltered, and unafraid, you can always rely on Talking Politics right here with the Hudson Media Group. I am the generational talent in Garden State Media because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. Because, folks, the establishment media, especially here in the Garden State, will always and continue lying to you. But you know what? When the times look their darkest, I'll keep fighting the hardest, especially for all of you. I'm Fernando Uribe. Please party responsibly. Enjoy the rest of April, folks. We'll see you in May. Again, and thank you for joining us here with the Hudson Media Group. Always remember, stay classy, everyone.